Okay, and welcome. My name is Randy Johnson, and today we are going to be reviewing Unit 2 Grammar in Book 6, Reading and Writing, Listening and Speaking. And the topic for today are gerunds and infinitives. So let's get started. And before we get into the topic at hand, there is a question. What is a base verb? So take a pair of seconds to think about what's a base verb. Okay, so a base verb is basically the basic unit of one verb. So verbs are action words like take, like eat, like study. Okay, so the base verb is just the simple verb in its basic form, okay? Without anything added to it, without the to, without INGs, without it being conjugated. So when we add ing to a base verb, what are some of the spelling rules for that? Okay, so go down a little bit. Here we have verbs that end in E. What happens to them? What do you guys think? Well, for example, give, the verb becomes giving when we add the ing. And then the verb change, what do you guys think for that one? I'll give you a second to think. Yes, change becomes changing. But there's a difference in the spelling, right? We see there's something missing. And what's missing there? What's missing is this E. Okay, so the verbs that typically end in E, okay, we drop the E and then we add ing, okay? So then you have give goes to giving when we take the last E out, and then we have change, change, and then it becomes chnging, changing. Now, what happens to a verb that has consonant, vowel, consonant? So for example, this R is a consonant, the U is a vowel, and the N is a consonant. And then here you have swim, the W is a consonant, the I is a vowel, and the M is a consonant. I'll give you a pair of seconds to think about the spelling changes. So as we see here, running, running Okay. So run becomes running, and swim becomes swimming. So what happened? Yes, so the consonant doubles. As you can see, the consonant doubles when it fits this mold at the end. So when you have consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, the last consonant doubles. So you have two N's here or two M's there. Okay. And don't worry, as you get more practice and you're exposed to more content, you'll begin to see these patterns. But for right now, we're just bringing your attention just to get your mind ready for the lesson at hand. So if we were to go over here to the side, what if it ends in EE? So that's new, right? So we have see and we have agree. What do you think happens when you add the ing? Do any spelling changes occur? How about you, you should have a pen and paper with you and your book. So how about you write down these words and add the changes and see what you get. So yes, we have the change happens, it's see, ying. And if we were to look at the same pattern, it would be agree, EE, ing. So verbs that end in double E, you just add the ing, no changes are necessary. So here's something to think about. In the last section here, what about verbs ending in Y? We have play and we have cry. I'll give you a couple of seconds to tell me how to spell playing and crying. Are there any changes? Do they stay the same? If you wrote playing like this, P-L-A-Y-I-N-G, you got it correct. And C-R-Y-I-N-G, you got it correct. It's the same rule that you see up above with the double E. You just add ing when the verb, the base verb, ends in Y. Okay. Good. Let's go on to the next, on the next page. Okay. So a really good tip, this really will help you during your testing, is you want to read the instructions first. The instructions will really save you time when you're answering the questions. So the instructions read as follows. Read the sentences, think about the meanings of the bold-faced words, and answer the questions. Okay? So what I'd like for you to do is, here are the questions. second. So here are these sentences, I'm sorry, excuse me. So here are the sentences. And then these down here are the questions. So what you should do, okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes, is for you to first read through A through G and focus your attention on the words in bold, which are the darker black print for the words, and to think about their meaning. Then after that, I'd like for you to take a minute or so to read through these questions here from 1 through 9 and see if you can answer them. And then after you've done that, we'll go and work on this together. Okay? Sounds like a deal? Great. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to read through the options here, A through G, and then also to read through these questions. And you can begin to answer them in your books or on your sheet of paper. And then afterwards, once the couple of minutes have expired, we will go over this together. Okay, you have about a minute left before we go over the answers together. Okay, so let's get started. So you should have read the sentences and above from A through G. And so now we're going to read each question, and each question will direct our attention to these sentences above, and we'll see what you got, okay? So question 1, it says in sentence A, what is the subject? And so if we go up here, it says sentence A, teaching was the most exalted profession I could imagine. The subject is what? It's teaching. Now, how do we know that that's the subject? this is a general rule in English, okay? For English to have a sentence, you'll have S, V, O. Okay, so the S is subject. And the verb, or the V is verb. O is object. Okay. So for in English, for the sentence to be considered a sentence, not a fragment, you always need to have a verb which ties the subject that goes before it with an object. The objects are optional. You don't always need an object, but you do typically need a subject. Now, there are some constructions where there are some slight exceptions here and there, but that is further on in your journey for grammar. And what you need to know now is that for the basic sentence in English, you usually have the subject, which comes first, the verb that comes afterwards, and depending on the sentence, you would have an optional object, okay? So here, we identify the was as the verb, and then the rest of this stuff it would be considered the object or predicate, okay? So teaching would be the subject for A. Good. In sentence B, what is the object of the verb enjoyed? And so if we go to B, we see McCourt enjoyed writing about his childhood. The object, as we can see, if the verb is enjoyed, then the stuff that comes after enjoyed would be considered the object. And so this would be writing about his childhood, would be the object, okay? And as I want to bring your attention, you see this ing. So as we saw before in the last slide, we took the verb, the basal verb, and then we attached ing. Well, something happened when we did that. When we attach ing to a basal verb, it can change the verb from acting as a verb to acting as a noun. And it's called a verbal noun, and you'll see more about that later. Okay, number 3, in sentence C, what word follows the preposition of? So let's go to C. It says McCourt had done a lot of reading. Okay, so of is a preposition, or a lot of is a prepositional phrase. And the word that follows it is reading. Great. You doing okay, guys? Good, let's continue. D, Lex Gillette refused to give up because of his disability. Sorry, let me look at 4. Let's look at the next question. Look at the bold-faced words in A, B, and C. They are gerunds. How are gerunds formed? So gerunds are formed by what? Taking the basal verb and then adding the ing, which we did before. So we could say, let's just write something here. We could just write verb plus ing. Okay. In sentence 5, in question 5, in sentence B, The main verb is refused. What is the verb that follows it? That is very interesting. So we have, sentence 5, we have Gillette refused to give up. Okay, so to give up will be the verb that follows it. So that is the compound verbal construction here, basically saying that there are two verbs that are being utilized in the sentence, and the second verb is to give up. Now, recognize the construction here. We have the first verb is conjugated. The second verb is not. But don't worry, we'll explain that a little bit later. Why is the second verb like this? Okay. And what does that mean in English? What do you call the second verb? Great. In 6, in sentence E, the main verb is persuaded. The object of the main verb, what is the object of the main verb? So the object of the main verb, again, if this is the main verb, then the object would be the noun phrase that comes after it, or prepositional phrase that comes after it. Basically any type of phrase that would come after it, noun or prepositional, so that would be the object of it. New York University. But then there's a verb that follows it. And this verb is to enroll. So that's verb 2. Okay, so you have verb 1. You have verb 2. Good. 7. In sentence F, what is the verb that follows the adjective free? So F reads, after McCourt's mother died, he felt free to write his memoirs. So the verb, as you already have noted, is the to write. Good job. In G, the last sentence, Lex Gillette has the ability to inspire others with his actions. And so what comes after the ability is to inspire, which is a verb. Okay, so look at the bold-faced words in D, E, F, and G. They're called infinitives. How do you form the infinitive? So if you look at D, we have to give up, we have to enroll, we have to write, we have to inspire. So what is the pattern that you're seeing with these infinitives? Correct. It's to plus base verb. Okay. So you take the base verb and you add to, and it becomes the infinitive. And basically, an infinitive is a timeless verb. It's infinitive, coming from infinity, the idea or the concept. A verb that is not conjugated. That is just a kind of an existential or just a state. This is the verb that has not been changed according to tense or aspect. Okay, Good. So we are going to move on to the next slide and hope that things are becoming a little clearer for you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so what do you remember? Because we introduced some really unique terms. Maybe this is the first time you've ever heard these terms. And so just a little quiz. Okay, so what is a gerund? What is an infinitive? And then the question below is, what is the difference between present progressive and gerunds? And what is the difference between the base verb and an infinitive? So I'm gonna give you a minute or so to think about this. I'd like for you to write down your answer, okay? And it's okay if you look in the book, if you need something to help, jog your memory. I'll give you a minute or so to think about this, and then we will answer together. Okay, so here are the answers. So a gerund is a term that indicates a verbal noun. Okay, so a verbal noun. So it is taking the verb, the base verb, and then adding ing to the end. And I think the biggest thing is that the gerund functions as a noun. Okay, so that means the gerund can be the subject of a sentence, for example. And then if we go over to the right-hand side here, so what is an infinitive? It is infinitive is basically to plus the base verb, and it's not conjugated. Okay, so it's to plus the base verb. Okay, so what is the difference between the present progressive and gerunds? It's simple. The present progressive is a verb tense. Okay, the verb tense that has be plus verb be plus verb ing. Okay, so the present progressive could be I am eating. That's present progressive. Gerunds, though, is the base verb plus ing as a noun. Okay. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute so you can see the difference. What's the difference between the base verb and the infinitive? The base verb is the basic unit of meaning. Okay, so base verb is basic unit of meaning. Okay. And the infinitive is the unconjugated form of And what we mean by unconjugated form of the verb, it just means it's just a technical term, which means that time is not applied to it. So there's no past, present, future, progressive, perfect tense applied to it. It is the unconjugated form of the verb that expresses the basic meaning of that verb. Okay, so there's just a slight difference. The base verb, you cannot have the base verb in English without it having the to, so that your mind can understand that this is infinitive and that time is not applied to it. Okay, but we say base verb because what we do grammatically is we take the base verb from the infinitive and we add suffixes to them to change their part of speech, i.e. Base verb plus ing, it becomes, it no longer is a verb, it becomes a verbal noun and it functions as a noun. So let me give you an example because this is all quite technical. We could, so what's the difference between present progressive and gerund? And I'll give you a sentence here, just give me 1 second. So you can say Ali is eating. Okay, that is the present progressive. Then you can say eating is fun. That is the gerund. That's the verbal noun. So here, Ali is eating. This is eating is one form of the verb, and this is called present progressive. But as you see here, we have the verb here is the verb is, okay, and then we have this is a predicate, but this is an adjective, okay. This is additional stuff. Okay, but here, since eating is coming in the subject form, then this is actually what we call a gerund, the verbal noun. That's functioning as the subject. Because we can't say in English, is eating Ali fun? That doesn't make any sense, okay? But if we're talking about the subject here is Ali, and then the verb here is eating. So we know, well, who is doing the eating? Ali is doing the eating. So that's the present progressive. He is in the process of eating at this moment. And then for the gerund, okay, so we have the subject is eating is fun. And what is the subject, or what is the sentence communicating? The sentence is communicating that the concept of eating is synonymous or equal to being fun, okay? And again, as we progress forward, it will be a little bit clearer. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. Oh yeah, and so the base verb and infinitive before we do that. So the base verb, for example, you have to eat. This you can use in sentences. I like to eat. We came here to eat. But the base verb is just the eat part. That's the base verb. And we take this out and we add suffixes like ing and other suffixes to change the meaning or the tense of the aspect of the word. But the to eat is this unconjugated form of the verb, usually the second verb when you have a compound verb structure. I like to eat. So I like, so like is also a verb, and then to eat is the second verb. And so the second verb becomes kind of timeless, so to speak, an unconjugated form of the verb. So that's the infinitive. So it serves a grammatical function, and the base verb is just the basic unit of the meaning of a verb that can be changed by adding suffixes to it. Okay? Good. So let's move forward. Okay, I need to erase all this. Good. So, as we explained earlier, gerunds are verbs ending in ing that work like nouns in sentences. Okay? They can be the subject of a sentence. Listening to music is fun. The object of a sentence. I enjoy reading books. And they can be used after a preposition, which is, for example, of, and, for, or about. I'm scared of making mistakes. And so listening, okay, reading, these are all functioning. Sorry, making mistakes, let's do it together. These are all functioning as nouns. Widen this, okay? So listening to music is fun. This is functioning as the subject, because the head of this noun phrase is listening, right? It's a verbal noun, but it's nevertheless functioning as a noun. And this music is subordinate to the listening, the verbal noun. And then we have here is, which is the verb, okay? And so the object of the sentence, we see that the verb comes first, and then the reading books comes second. And then in the prepositional phrase is usually the preposition plus a noun phrase. And so the making mistakes is the noun phrase, and the making, again, is a verbal noun. Okay, so it's coming from the verb and it's being moved into functioning like a noun. Okay, so basically gerunds are verbal nouns that are derived from verbs. That's the basic definition. Okay, so let's move on. So gerunds as the subject of a sentence. So here's some rules. Gerunds are often used with the verb be and can be used as phrases with other nouns, adjectives, and etc. So one gerund gets singular and two gerunds get plural, just like nouns. Okay. So for example, running is my favorite activity. So the verb here, is singular. But running and hiking are my favorite activities because you have two nouns, and this becomes plural. So here are some, sorry guys. Okay. So here are some sentences. Becoming an accomplished athlete takes a lot of hard work and time. Skydiving can be really dangerous. Hanging out with friends is really important. Graduating university and getting a good job are my two main goals in life. How about you take a pair of seconds to write a sentence and we'll write one together. All right, so let's write one together. Nice gerund. Let's think what would be a nice gerund. Or what would be a nice base verb that we can turn into a gerund? What about study? That is an important concept. So study, now we're going to make into a gerund. So what do? We add ing. So now this is the subject of the sentence. So studying hard is important for success. Okay, so studying is important for success at the PhD. And so you have studying hard is your subject, and then the is the verb, and then the rest of it is in the object space. Okay. Good. So let's move on. Gerunds as the object of a sentence. So here's some rules. Only used after certain verbs and can be used as phrases. Okay. So this template here that you see here, there are some verbs that have been identified that can take gerunds as the object of sentences. Okay. So we have avoid, begin, consider, dislike, enjoy, finish, like, put off, love, prefer, start, try, go, hate, stop, keep, or continue, acknowledge, recall, and remember. Now, again, the idea is that you do not need to remember all these verbs. It's a lot to remember, but you want to be familiar with this construction, and that some verbs can take the gerund and as an object of the sentence, and so that you'll see it in your writing, and you'll see it in your reading, and you'll hear it in your listening, so you're just aware of it. So here are some examples down here. I avoid entering small spaces. I love taking long walks and reading in the park. Next sentence, I remember being really bored there. Next sentence, I prefer studying online. Okay, so as you can see, the construction is avoid, and then afterwards you have entering. This is the gerund. Love, and then afterwards you have the gerund, two gerunds actually being conjoined with the conjunction and. I remember being gerund. I prefer studying. So I'm going to give you a minute. Why don't you take one of these verbs and use it with the verb eat. And then we'll do one together. Okay, so there are many choices to choose from to use with the verb eat. But the first thing that we need to do is, no matter what was the main verb that you chose from this matrix above, that you added ing to eating, to eat, to make it eating, so that you could add it together. Okay, that was the first thing. And then we can just make different sentences. So I'm going to use remember. Okay, so I could say Fatima remembers eating sandwiches at home. So Fatima is the subject, remembers, and then eating sandwiches at home. So eating is this eating sandwiches at home is functioning as an object, and eating is a verbal noun. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Okay, so gerunds used after a preposition, used with, of, about, at, in, on, with, or between. Okay, there are a whole list of prepositions, but these are some that you can be aware of. And the rules are the adjective plus preposition plus gerund, or the verb plus preposition plus gerund. So for example, afraid of, worried about, bad at, excited about, believe in, interested in, good at, bored with, plan on, choose between, dream about, learn about, used for. So here are some of the sentences. I'm afraid of, entering small spaces. So this afraid is an adjective, of is the preposition, and then entering is the gerund. I believe in trying as many things as you can. So the believe here is a verb, the in is the preposition, and the trying is the gerund. It is used for making amazing sculptures. Used is a verb again. So we see these are the rules. So there's only two ways that this can come up. Either you have an adjective or you have a verb. So we see that used is the verb, and for is a preposition, and then we have the gerund coming afterwards. He needs to choose between studying online. So between, so choose is the verb, between is the preposition, and studying online, studying is the gerund. So again, let's take quick seconds and see if we can come up with a sentence of our own, and then we'll move forward. Okay. Say, we are excited about trying something new. There you go. So excited is the verb, about is the preposition, and then trying is the verbal noun or the gerund. Okay. Great. Let's go into the next. So infinitives. Now that we've finished with the gerunds, and now we're going to be moving over to the infinitives. And as we discussed earlier, the infinitives are formed by using to plus the base verb. And they can be used after certain verbs or verb plus object. So I learned to read when I was 3. I urge you to listen. Okay, so that's one way it comes up. after certain adjectives. She is free to go wherever she wants. And then also after certain nouns. They don't have the ability to do well in this sport. Okay. Let's continue. So infinitives after verbs. The infinitive directly comes after the verb learn, decide, agree, refuse, hope, manage, and try. So that's the to plus the basal verb. The infinitive goes after the verb plus object here with urge, persuade, advise, allow, encourage, and motivate. And then in this third column, the infinitive can go after the verb or after the verb plus object. So it's a hybrid between the first two categories. Want, ask, need, and expect. Now, again, I just want to remind you that you are not required to memorize these categories. Well, the purpose of this grammar exercise is to get your mind to see that these categories exist. And as you continue practicing your English, as you continue listening and reading and writing and speaking, these categories will become like second nature. Okay, so see the pattern, try and work with the pattern. Don't focus so much on trying to memorize each, matrix or each box. Okay, so let's look at the examples and figure out which box that they go into. So the first sentence written down here is, he agreed to drive his friend to the mall. Okay, so we see that he agreed. So we see the verb, and then we see right after it is the infinitive. So this is the first box. Just put numbers. 2, 3. Okay. The next sentence, she encouraged me to start painting again. So we have encourages the verb, and then me, okay, there's an object here, and then to start is the infinitive. And so it looks like it falls into category 2. I need to take the bus today. Okay, so I need to take the bus today works in category 1, but we see here that need is a hybrid, because here it says I need you to take the bus today. That also works. So these two are the hybrid categories that can either function as 1 or as 2. Okay, so let's take a pair of seconds to come up with your own sentence, and then we'll do one together. Okay, so I'm going to write one from box 2, and I would say I encourage you to sleep well tonight. Good. We're going to move on to the next. So infinitives after adjectives and nouns. Infinitives are often used after be plus the adjective. Okay. So here is a matrix of adjectives here. So you have free, easy, possible, able, happy, willing, hard, difficult, prepared. And they are also used after certain nouns like ability and freedom. So here it says they were willing to help. Okay, so we see willing, and then the to help is the infinitive. It isn't difficult to write, so we have difficult as an adjective, and then to write is the infinitive. I'm not prepared to go to class. We all have the freedom, this is the noun here, to make our own choices. Okay, so again, the infinitive is the unconjugated verb. It is how the basic unit of meaning can grammatically show up in the sentence. So let's make a sentence of our own. I'll give you some seconds to come up with your own, and we'll do one together. So, the sentence we can write is, it is hard to believe it is 2021. It is hard, okay, to believe. So hard is the adjective, and then to believe is the infinitive. Okay. The bare infinitive. So here's a little bit of an exception here. We call it the bare infinitive. After certain verbs, we use an object plus the base verb without the two, and we call this the bare infinitive. And so pictures help me to understand the information better. Okay, so we can use the bare infinitive or the regular infinitive with this verb. It helps me to calm down. It helps me calm down. Make, they made me run 3 miles. Let, the police let the criminal go. See, I saw her take the cookie without asking. Now, what makes this an infinitive, because it is, again, the verb and its basic meaning that is not conjugated. Okay, and so, but we use the bare infinitive, which is, looks exactly the same as the base verb with certain verbs. Okay, so only with these 4 verbs. And so understand is not conjugated. Run is not conjugated. Go is not conjugated. Take is not conjugated, but it's functioning as the infinitive, which usually takes the 2. Okay, so with help, you can have the 2 in there. So the sentence can read, pictures help me to understand the information better. That does work as well. Or you can say pictures help me to understand. But in these exceptional cases, with the other verbs, make and let and see, the 2 is dropped. So they've made me run 3 miles. They let the criminals go. I saw her take the cookie without asking. This is the bare infinitive. So these are the rare exceptions where the infinitive and the basal verb are one and the same. This is the exception to the rule, and we call this exception to the rule bare infinitives. Okay, so we're going to continue. So we got a quiz. I'm going to give you a minute to go over this quiz, and then we'll keep going. Now, once we'll do some more work, and then we'll get into this kind of rapid fire kind of quiz aspect towards the later half of this session to test your knowledge and to see how much you retained. So again, I'll give you about 30 seconds and then we'll go. Okay, so we're back. So here we go. Many people don't have the ability to if you answered C, then the answer is correct, to pay for expensive products. I considered blank leaving, or I considered blank the party early, but decided blank. So I considered D, leaving the party early, but I decided to stay. The next, aside time for your hobbies, blank important. So it would be setting aside time for your hobbies is very important. And the is goes back to the setting. So setting singular, so this is refers to the setting aside. Because all this stuff, the aside time for your hobbies, is subordinates to setting. My brother let, what did you get? My brother let me win. Bare infinitive. Next, I hope they allow us to go D, to the park tomorrow. He was bored with sitting at his desk all day. That didn't circle well. Okay, so you have the adjective plus the preposition plus the gerund. Okay, good. You guys did a good job on the quiz. Okay, so here, we read the instructions first before we start answering. So the instructions, what does it say? Underline the gerund or infinitive in each sentence. Write the number of the rule from the grammar chart that applies to each section. You don't have to worry about the number so much. I just want you to focus on the gerund or the infinitive. That's the most important thing. So I'll give you about a minute or so to underline the gerund and infinitive, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, about 30 seconds, and then we will go over this together. Okay, so let's do it. So B, the gerund or infinitive is this, run and jump. And this is the infinitive. So I'll just put I here for infinitive. Okay. The next sentence, going is the gerund. The following sentence, to compete, is what, the infinitive. The next sentence, to describe, is the infinitive. Following sentence, to be, infinitive. As you can see, this is verb 1, verb 2. Okay. And as you can see here in C, you have the verb and then you have the gerund that comes afterwards. Okay, now let's go down back to G. To write, it's the infinitive. Here, this is the gerund at the beginning of the sentence. Functioning as the subject. And then here, this is writing, functioning as the object, the prepositional phrase. It's also a gerund. And then we have the infinitive, and we see the urged, and then we see that the object, and then we have the infinitive, okay? So I hope that was useful for you. And we're gonna have to move forward now. Okay. So let's read the instructions and then we'll do this. We'll do this page. So read the information about Frank McCourt and Lex Gillette and write each situation using a form of the first verb given and the gerund or infinitive form of the second verb. there may be more than one way to rewrite each sentence. Okay, so the instructions are asking us to rewrite the sentence. So first, what you need to do is that you need to understand what the sentence is saying. So you need to read it and make sure you understand the content. And then in your first sentence, in the first verb, it's conjugated. It takes the form, so as we see here, after his mother died, McCourt felt free to write his memoir. So the felt is conjugated, it's past tense. And the second one is either in the gerund or the infinitive. And so he felt free, and then most appropriately was the infinitive to be used to write his memoirs. Now, these sentences can be written many different ways. And so try your best. We'll do these 4 here, and then we'll move on to the rapid fire quizzing. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do is read the sentences, try your best to use the form of the first verb, and then add either the gerund or the infinitive form in the second verb. And then together we'll do these 4 sentences, and we can see the form, and we can see what this exercise is asking. Okay, so I'm going to give you like a minute or so to read through these sentences and to come up with sentences using these verbs in the parentheses. Okay, so the first one is conjugated, the second one's either gerund or infinitive, and then we'll move on. Okay, so take a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, students, let's go through this. So it says, before Lex joins a competition, he spends many months preparing. It takes a long time to get ready for a running long jump. So again, there are going to be many ways to approach this, but here's one way to approach answering this. We can say, so we could say Lex needs a long time to train for competitions. So we have the verb, the first verb in the present tense, and then we have the second verb in the infinitive. Number 3, McCourt's classmates, Mike and Malloy, had lots of books that interested McCourt. McCourt asked and asked if he can borrow one of them. Malloy finally said he could. So then the verb choices are persuade and lend. And so a possible sentence, again, there are variations. You can say the court persuaded Mikey to lend him a book. Okay, so yeah, again, we're using the past tense because this sentence was written in the past, and then we have to lend as a second verb. Okay, Alexa's unique story has brought him fans from around the world. He is happy that his story is helping others. So we have enjoy and inspire. So, we can say. Okay, so number 4, Lex enjoys inspiring others by his story. And so again, we're using the present tense, and then we use inspiring because it fits more adequately with the sentence and also the instructions, and inspiring others by a story. And again, there are many options that you could have chosen from. This is one. The McCourts didn't have a lot of money when Frank was growing up. His mother was afraid that the children would be hungry. So the McCourts worried about feeding their children. And so, again, according to the grammar that we studied, worried about, and afterwards we get the verbal noun, feeding their children. Okay, so again, these are just examples, but you understand now, or you can see now how you have to understand the content first and then apply the grammar afterwards. Okay, so now we're going to move into more of a rapid quiz portion of this lesson, and then we'll be ending out shortly. So again, use this time just to be present and to try to recall as much as you can, and have fun learning. It's okay to make a mistake. Okay, so rapid fire. So gerund or infinitive? Read these sentences and then either conjugate it in the gerund or the infinitive, and then I will show you the answer shortly. I'll give you a minute. make sure you write your answers down as you're doing this. Okay, about 30 seconds, and then we'll go with the answers. Okay, you guys ready to see what the answers are? Let's see. So number one, she avoided telling him about her plans. So that's a gerund. Okay. Note in the next one, I'm learning to speak English. So that's the infinitive. The next one, he decided to study biology. The next one, so that would be infinitive. She doesn't recommend taking the bus. It takes forever. So that's the gerund. We hope to visit London next year. The infinitive. The next sentence, the child doesn't want to leave yet. That is the infinitive. And the students managed to finish, which is the infinitive. So how did you do? Again, it's okay if you didn't do as well as that you were hoping. This lesson is here for you to review the grammar, and it takes time. So don't worry. So we're going to go on to the next rapid fire, and let's see how much you can recall. Okay, gerund or infinitive, it's the same thing. You have two options. Gerund, does it come with the ing verb, or does it come with the to? Or is it a bare infinitive? Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute or so. We'll go over this, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, guys, it's okay if you didn't complete. We can do it together. About 15 seconds to complete, and then we'll answer together. Good. How did you do? Let's go over it. He demanded to talk to the manager. So with demanded, you use the infinitive to talk. I offered to help. With offered, you use to help. The sunglasses are for protecting. So when you have a preposition, afterwards you use the gerund, for protecting. Remember, in the subject of the sentence, you don't use the infinitive. At this stage, there are exceptions, but that's later on in your grammar journey. You use the gerund. Going to the beach makes me happy. The next one, we expect it to take, okay, so you use the infinitive there, a while to learn the grammar rules as well. Are you prepared to complete essays? So you remember the matrix, the 3 boxes, right? one that has the infinitive come straight after the verb, and the second one has the infinitive coming after the object. So we see in that first box, prepared to take, and then the second box, expect it to take. This book is about going, again, preposition, you use the ing to an adventure, and then at the beginning of the sentence, you want to use the verbal noun. Having time, I can't actually read that. Let's see. Having time off in the summer is great, but you have the freedom to do what you want. Because you have the freedom to do what you want. Okay. How'd you do? Good. Let's continue with the rapid fire. Okay, here you go. You got about a minute or two to read through this, answer either gerund or infinitive, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so here we go. Let's go over the answers real quick. So headphones are for listening to music. Remember, for preposition usually goes with ing. It's difficult to talk. Good. Children are usually interested in watching. Again, preposition ing. We tried opening. So the tried, you can have the verbal adjective, the verbal noun afterwards, the gerund. They stopped studying, the verbal noun or the gerund goes afterwards. I regret telling. Regret also comes with the verbal noun or gerund. The teacher urges us to pay. So the urge plus the object plus the infinitive. Young children don't have the ability to sit. Again, ability, noun, afterwards, you can have to sit that comes afterwards. Okay, so let's do this quiz real quick. So my brother and I enjoy movies together. We'll do this together. It will be my brother and I really enjoy. Okay, let's get this pen working. We enjoy watching movies together. I hate blank. I hate to wash the dishes after. I hate washing dishes afterwards. Both are correct. I hate to wash the dishes afterwards. I hate washing dishes afterwards. My cousin invited her friends to eat lunch. Okay. Do you remember Good. And so as we see, the second one is actually just washing. And actually, I think, although I think there are cases where both would be correct. Did you remember to send the email to your teacher? Did you remember sending the email to your teacher? Both would be correct here. And then also, both would be correct up here as well. Okay. So it's just a difference of opinion there. Don't worry about it. Okay, the students are tired of what? Memorizing English grammar. Young men managed to find. You shouldn't let your friends persuade you to do something. The university doesn't allow female students to wear. Okay, let's see if they agree with us. Let's look. Looks like we're in agreement on this one. Okay, just a couple more slides and we'll be done. The teachers need the students what? To bring. At the end of the class, the students were free to go. It can be difficult to keep secrets from others or keeping secrets from others. To be honest, both work, but let's see what the slide says. I don't recall seeing that information. And then let's see what the slide says. Good. Okay. Students had hoped to complete their project early. What did you hope to do after graduating? Good, that would be C. You have the ability to succeed in life. I need you to give me an answer. And then let's see if we're in agreement. We are. Okay. That is the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for sharing this time together. And I hope that you now are able to identify what are gerunds, what are infinitives, and in the spaces that they show up. Again, the object isn't to memorize everything, but is to be familiar with it and to be able to identify it, especially when you are taking your test. You have a great day.